Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the stream, to the Friday Chaos Stream, or is everything in order now that Daddy's home? Welcome to the Friday stream. We're just kicking it off here after the Fallen State. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we got a little bit of a show. We're gonna kick it back. We're gonna do the topics here, and super chats and everything. So welcome. I'm the American Anchor Baby. 888-775-3773. If you want to call in, get it off your chest, talk about the Fallen State, talk about what we get into here. We got a number of things. And we're going to take it easy, flying easy. Whoa, bro, too soon. Friday, easy listening. Welcome, everybody. I see you all in the chat. What's up, Harmony, Albert, Kevin? What's up, Hake, Stiz? Steez or Stiz? Come on. Irish Repub. We might talk about that. How you doing, Terry? Nice to see you, Ghost Rider. Mary May, new names, old names, everybody. Welcome. I hope your Friday is going well. And I just want to welcome those watching on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Welcome those watching on dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. And, of course, those watching on punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. Just doing the housekeeping, making sure everybody's accounted for, okay? Doing a little head count. I appreciate you tuning in. As you're coming into the stream, show some decorum. Don't be rude. Click the like button. Do your housekeeping. Do your part. Do your part. Okay, in the home. Thank you, everybody. What's up, Chris? Kicking it off with a little super chat. Little coffee guy there. Might even talk about coffee later. But what can I say? Welcome, everybody. Enough of the messing around. I wanted to... let's kick it off with a little mea culpa, okay? Let's kick it off with a little bit of an whoopsie daisy, okay? A little bit of my bad, okay? My bad. We did a little reporting yesterday talking about this crash. They done crashed over the Potomac. You understand this. But I was reading a Revolver article for you, and in the Revolver article, they quoted the New York Times. They quoted the New York Times to describe, it reads right here in the Revolver, it says, investigators are still looking into the incident, though early reports suggest the air traffic controllers were responsible. They quote the New York Times. It says, we just had a midair. The pilot of the Hawker is heard saying in audio recording. Someone in the control response says, what? And then the Hawker from the Black Hawk helicopter responds and says, you guys cleared somebody to take off or land. I got to say I'm sorry because the sentence right before investigators are still looking into the incident. It says 2 private planes collided on the runway of a Houston airport early last week. The Revolver article was describing how the problems in the aviation industry beyond what happened over there, over the river. So I just wanted to clear that up, okay? Because it's like then the implications are that the pilots were communicating with air traffic controller as they were falling out of the sky. And then when everybody perished, it's a terrible thing. I believe no survivors. So that I want to clear that up, okay? Please. Is it my bad or my bag? It was a different incident involving a Black Hawk helicopter, involving a Hawker pilot and another plane in midair that didn't result in a terrible tragedy with many dead. It was a precursor to what we saw. So that's what the revolver was trying to describe, all the precursors and all the problems going up to it. But there's another thing going around, okay? We're gonna pivot. We're gonna move the attention, the spotlight off the anchor baby, the heat. We're gonna do it, even though I'm saying it out loud and describing it in English. It's gonna happen anyways. Check it out, because everybody else, and I didn't say this on my show. I didn't say it on my show that everybody else was into this hoax. The trans woman, as they call the service woman, transgender service woman, pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter that was involved in the Potomac crash 2 days ago. That was a hoax, according to the Daily Mail. Oh, I feel like Hake's influence is affecting me right now. I don't see a censorship on that. What the? But I'm a little bit more dark-hearted than him, because I keep scrolling down to show. Oh, what the? I'm definitely a little more dark-hearted, maybe. But a transgender, go away, Joe Rogan. A transgender Black Hawk pilot has been wrongly named as one of the 3 U.S. Army personnel flying the helicopter that collided with a plane in Washington, D.C. Joe Ellis, J-O, that's a female name, okay? J-O, that's a lady, Joe, right? Like Joanne and Joe, right? Joe, what else? Bobby Joe, am I making that up? J-O. Joe Ellis, 34, misidentified as the female co-pilot of the doomed chopper. More than misidentified. Anyways, as a doomed chopper on Thursday, Ellis basically saying, I was contacting the news saying, I'm not dead. I am very much alive. So Ellis is quoted here in the Daily Mail article. I am very much alive. Kind of reminds me of one of my sous chefs, one of my head chefs. Shout out. Just like if it didn't have the hair. Like this one, that looks like, I'm not going to say your name. Shout out to that chef, that head chef who did not transition as far as I know and never has hair like this. But that's Joe Ellis. That was a lie. Ellis, who previously worked for CNN star Michael Smirkonish. What kind of name is that? It's probably a name that's known. Said the slurs are disrespectful to the families of the 67 people killed in Wednesday's night disaster. I have to do a little bit of gleaning here. Here's in this article, they're responding to these false rumors that had left her shocked. And they say her. They had shocked her, as it reads here. And then it says that the Ellis said the slurs are disrespectful. So I guess I'm inferring here that people online were not very nice. This trans person. I saw theories out there. When this was going around, people were saying, when this was going around, people online were saying, is this more trans violence? This is just rumors, of course, and obviously unfounded. Ellis is alive. But is this a trans suicide? So were they slurring Ellis online? If I may borrow a term from another individual, I disavow. Okay. But Ellis, okay, the slurs, a blog. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. So that was just clearing that up for y'all. Okay. Chief Warrant Officer Andrew Eves and Ryan O'Hara from Georgia were the other 2 service personnel on board. They show their pictures, actually. They say, this article does say, the third unnamed, and still, last I checked, still unnamed individual flying this helicopter, or was a co-pilot in this helicopter, was a woman, unnamed woman, said to have flown higher than normal altitudes. Again, a little bit more information now. But this woman had 500 hours of experience. The co-pilot or pilot in command was a female, the official told Fox News, and she had 500 hours of flying experience. So there you go. So anyways, let's move on from this. I was a little interested in this one part. A blog written by Ellis, this transgender person, said she had spent her childhood homeschooled for most of her education, had struggled with gender dysmorphia since the age of 5. While saying, and it's like, since the age of 5, you hear this. They say, I've been feeling confused since I was a kid. And it feels like a little dunk, but I'm not dunking. That a lot, children feel confused that young. But I don't know. I got people, people are maybe unhappy with my talk of feelings and how other people feel feelings. I thought it was clear. Maybe I'm a dummy. Call me, 888-775-3773. I don't think so. But they're saying they had dysmorphia, age 5. While saying she worked through gender dysmorphia by trying to become more successful and more manly, she got married, adopted a dog, and raised a stepdaughter as, quote, all the things I thought a good man should do. Oh, man. Oh, darn. Suddenly, the transgender servicewoman is a little more human. Not that this person, this Ellis, was not human before, right? I was not saying that. And I really wasn't. Right? This person was all sorts of human. With all the problems of all humans. All the things I thought a good man should do. Wow. They ain't so different, huh? Wow. They really ain't so different. Transgender. So you get it. All the things I thought a good man should do. Are you picking it up? Thought. I'm remembering what I heard. Maybe one day we'll all see it's true. But I thought a good man should do. What a good man should do. Where does one know that? Where does one know the answer of such a thing? Usually just in your mind. She said that the pandemic and the rigors of flight school led her to confront her gender dysphoria and decide, with the support of her spouse, to transition. Oh, shout out to all the spouses out there who've, I don't know, they call it supporting their spouse, supporting them in this tough time. Just supportive. I'm the wife. I guess now there's 2 wives, but I was the original wife. And I'm there to support, is what you're told, what you think. So shout out to the, supporters of their trans husbands / wives or hostage cases. Better yet, self-inflicted hostage situation with your husband that thinks they're a woman. Oh, I have to stay. I'm here. I have to support them. I have to support my husband. I married them. Self-inflicted hostage situation. And divorce. I was talking about it with somebody recently. Christians, I'm talking with a Christian friend. Divorce is a big no-no, right? Big no-no. I got to say, it's like, I never really thought about marriage. Was I a liberal? I don't know. I just got into, Trump came around. Maybe some of you relate to this. You're like, wow, I guess I'm a conservative. And whatever. It's like politics. You maybe grow up a little bit mature. You're like, it's just life. But somewhere along the way, I remember kind of thinking that, like, well, it's just, I guess I'm a conservative. And, it's like, wow, the right thing is to get married, is to stay married. And, what's marriage? Well, I guess you just never divorce. That's the right thing to do. And it sounds true, right? I'm not trying to say that that's totally false, but I just try and think about it a little rationally. Like, let's say you were really in a marriage, But then she's like crazy or something. I don't know. Tries to take the kids, is trying to fight you about this or that. I'm putting my hands up. You can have the kids. You can have the life. I'm not fighting anymore. And so then I guess what's the conclusion from that? I guess Nick believes in divorce. I don't know. I wouldn't say that either, to believe in divorce. But I feel like this came from the women. To be married means you're really committed. And then you never divorce. You're in it for the long haul. And you just have bad times sometimes. And I want to say that that's all true. I really think that's a better way of ordering a marriage. You don't just break up because something went wrong or because you have bad feelings or I'm not feeling fulfilled. But there's a time where you're like, this is not from God. This is not from God. Did not send me this woman. God, yeah. I think that point exists. But what's funny about this? The spouses whose husbands turn trans, I know the ladies who believe in marriage and never divorce would suddenly they'll see. I see that stuff. I'll see it online. I am speaking anecdotally, the stuff I've seen. But they don't like this man. They don't like the man pretending to be women. They just don't like that. This skirt wearing dude. Look, you can see the dude in him. This guy pretending. They really don't like it. I stand with them. It's weird and wrong, but they're viscerally they hate it. Some of them. Some. I see them right now. Yesterday, it's no, never divorce. Wait, spouses that turn trans? Yeah, no, we're divorcing that. Your husband died. Your husband died, right? Dead name. They don't even exist anymore. So God's not going to get mad at you. I can see them now. But anyways, it's why would God want you to stay in such a marriage? I have to support my husband who's turning trans? What the heck is that? She said that she told her military commanders in 2023 and she was met with immediate support. Yeah, Trump. That's just 2023. I think that changed. The year's 2025. Okay. You know how they like saying that. The year's 2025 and the president is Trump. Sorry, Joe Ellis. I mean, I didn't even think about this before talking about you like a dog. I didn't even consider this, that you might not even have a job. I don't know how that's going to work with Trump, but the trans and the military thing is just not. I'm hearing, last I heard, it's not really working with the Trump peeps. So I didn't mean to get it all personal. I didn't know it was going to maybe affect your job, but Joe Ellis in the news, not dead, and believes thoughts like everybody, like men, like everybody. Believes thoughts like men. Oh, man. I just caught myself. I'm suggesting that Joe Ellis is not a man with what I just said. She was met with immediate support with the military. Could you imagine that for a moment? Your military commander's oh, yes, we support your decision. Whatever you need, we got your back. I'm going to start wearing dresses and heels. Whatever you need, we're the U.S. military. We're gonna back you all the way. At least this person's not you've seen those where they're we're in full drag and military stuff. It's from a distance passing, some kind of maybe in some angles. Definitely if this individual, if he was wearing one of those what are these, in full regalia, it's okay, and you just see a little blonde, it's okay, that's just, you're not even gonna question it. It's as long as, I'd rather none of them not be there, but it's if it's not even gonna, you're not even gonna question it, or it's not even gonna bother you, you just get on the plane, you're a soldier, and it's okay, that's just my pilot. Oh, it's a female, and then you get off. And okay. Anyways, let's just move on from this. That's a little bit about all that. 888-775-3773. Did you guys want to see this? Since it came out, you might want to see this. Chaostream, yet ordered. Look at the chaos that unfolded in the sky. New footage for some of you sick people who just want to see more wanton destruction. Look, it's just a different angle, and it's kind of a good one. And you might want to see this. The plane, you see their lights, you see the plane coming in, going for the landing. So this plane's coming in for the landing. Let's see if we can turn this up. How does this work? Do I do this? Yes, I do.
Both aircraft that you see at. Let's get to the videos. The first video we want to show you, the bright light that you see at the top is the American Airlines jet as it approached the runway. Then you see the helicopter flying directly into the frame and directly into the plane. Both aircraft immediately then crashing down into the Potomac River. The second.
So you see that, right? I think the second one's better.
Video craft immediately then flying directly into the frame and.
What did I want to point out? It just looks like the helicopter.
The bright light that you see at the top is the American Airlines.
That's the American Airlines plane. You see how bright it is. That's what I want to point out. You see how bright these lights are? Now, what is that? What about with the some of the aviation, some of the Google aviation I know, don't quote me on that. Okay, I don't want to see that rewritten anywhere, Google aviation. But with the Google aviation I know, it's not. So let's say you're looking at those bright lights and you're thinking, it's so visible. That's so visible. It's like, yeah, most likely they saw those lights. In fact, some of the audio recordings suggest that, with them saying CRJ. Do you have visual on the Pat 25, all that? Communications with ATC. The way it works with these bright lights at night, it's kind of like when you're driving and it's a bright light coming at you. You don't really know exactly how far it is. And you have another added level here where when you're driving, you're not worried about altitude. You also don't know how high it is, how high or low it is. You just see a bright light. So, yeah, that's how it goes. Nick is a pilot too, says Ghost Rider in the chat. Nice. Right. Yeah, right. So if you wanted to see the footage,
as it
just a little
approached the
bit
runway, then you see the helicopter flying directly into.
But what was it I wanted to point out? It was like the bright blinking light. I was going to try and point out maybe the orientation. I'm kind of feeling like I want to move on, though. Let's see here. Fine, let's show this one and move on.
Surveillance video from the airport and showing very same helicopter moving along the river as the plane approaches the runway at DCA, and then the collision and the explosion and into the Potomac River.
Terrible. What did I want to point out about this one? Look, bright lights. I was going to pull up maybe even the runway map orientations of these things. I'm feeling like it's time to move on because you saw this stuff with Trump, and they're saying this guy's blaming DEI. You even heard callers on the JLP show like, hey, you're going to want to calm down, wait for all the facts, because Alex Jones, remember when he didn't wait for the facts? Evil people. I shouldn't even bring it up. But they're saying Trump, it's like he's blaming DEI. I do want to play the clip real quick for posterity's sake. He didn't exactly say what people are saying, to be fair. But I also wanted to just make an obvious point I don't really hear. But it's a pretty obvious one, I think.
Point out that.
And it's not just DEI. Point out the evidence that DEI, that this person was hired because of DEI practices and affirmative. Point it out. Give me the evidence. And I think it's a way more general thing. Because even if you show me this person is like wasn't DEI or anything like that, you got to understand America is DEI now. It's like a whole top-down thing. It's in the minds of the people. It's even in the people who are, I'm not DEI, I don't like DEI, but their environment, you know how weak people are? And it's like a lot of people are weak in many different ways, not a judgment, but it's just a fact. And weak people are affected by their environment. Weak people are affected by their emotions. They're motivated and their behaviors change by what they think the driving motivator and force behind what they do is decision and decision and will. But it really isn't. It's the environment. It's what they hear, what they fear. So even the like, oh man, we gotta get the DEI out of here. This is wrong. We need merit. You could see how it's like a thing that affects some of those people saying that. We'll look at the DEI, the affirmative action at the lower standards, and they'll say, you know, I can lower mine a little bit. And it's just a domino effect. You got to understand it's kind of an obvious one, right? But it's like that puts a nail into all this criticism on Trump. It puts a nail on it all. It's clear for the common sense people what I'm saying. So for posterity, let's watch Trump here. I see calls coming in too. 888-775-3773. I will get to you. Let's watch.
Various articles that appeared prior to my entering office. And here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them.
It's like, you guys know how crazy it is, right? But it's like I feel like we know, but we don't know, but we know, but we don't know. And then we see something, we're like, wow, shocked, because we don't know, but we know. I was just talking to a buddy about this. We only see a little tiny fraction. We're experiencing and seeing a tiny, tiny fraction. So we're constantly surprised. And we're like, well, actually, I don't know how bad it is, but I do know, but I don't know. And what I'm getting at is just how low hell goes. It's endless. They really do think like that. They're calling it biographical hiring, where it's like, tell me about yourself. You have a person who's doing the hiring, and this person who's doing the hiring is at very critical places now. They're in very, very critical places. And they're looking at people and saying, tell me about yourself. I'm a crip. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I got we need to give you a chance. And it's like, that's it. And that's it. And that unravels society. So yeah, just repeat it. You know, you just gotta stress it on the Chaostream. You know what I'm saying?
They can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration. This was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities.
Jeez. You seen that do you remember when I showed you that it was like I can't even find it. I think it was lawyers. I think it was like the first Down syndrome lawyer, and then like first Down syndrome. Was it like surgeon? What the heck was it? Watch this while I look.
Psychiatric problems and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine?
So you get it. Getting a lot of flack for it. Like, we don't know. You don't really know. How can you just say that? Give me your source, bro. You give me your source. So there's this thing called the NTSB, okay? National Transportation Safety Board. And they're going to keep it safe. And they're looking at this and they're thinking, you know what? This is quite unsafe. Upon reviewing the footage and the facts, an explosion, fiery explosion and 67 dead. This is quite unsafe and we're on it. And they got this woman heading the whole thing. It's like, I'm trying to be nice. It's like I'm like putting together shows. And it's like, wouldn't it be, make the point. I thought, make the point women are evil and making this happen. And I'm like, calm down, mind. How about let's get some evidence. Let's not try and create something out of thin air here. And it's like every day, some woman's heading this thing or they were the first woman somewhere. And you know how identity is. First man, first black man, first men do it too. It's like, I'm a beta for even saying that. Men do it too. And it's like a woman had something, and they're like, destroying it. Okay, they're destroying it. They're acting like mama. It's the best way of putting it. It truly is.
First up,
It truly is. And you see them, and they have no opposition. They're just up there. They have cameras. They have all these men behind them. They have all the symbols and the microphones and cameras, and it looks official. You could almost be hypnotized.
What probable cause is before we get to the probable cause.
When they're saying nothing, you could almost,
Tom, with all.
So this is reportedly after Trump's comments, and let me just read what it says here. I did watch it, and it's like maybe she said something outside of this clip right before. But it sounds a little bit like a response to Trump's claim DEI caused the crash. Female NTSB head stuns the press with her unexpected response to Trump's claim DEI caused the crash.
Tom, with all due respect, I think the press also likes to state what probable cause is before we get to the probable cause. So what I'm going to say is you need to give us time. You need to give NTSB, it's not that we don't have information. We do have information. We have data. We have substantial amounts of information. We need to verify information. We need to take our time to make sure it is accurate. That's best for you. That's
so you don't have an answer.
Important for the families. It's important for legislators who are seeking answers to try to figure out what they're going to do about this. And so it will take time. We do have a lot of information, but
we have info and we have a plan of action. And you know what that plan of action is going to involve? It's going to involve you and keeping national transportation safe as we are empowered to do. And so what my agency will do today is to put forth a plan, blah, 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 blah. And you would almost hear that and think, well, come on, Nick, like, you can nitpick all you want. You can nitpick all day. But she said they have information and they're verified. Let her verify it. Let her do her job, blah, blah, blah. But you got to see it again. You may have already seen it. Bringing it back, a beauty of a clip, and it was very recent. But if only Daddy was home. If you saw that same one I just showed you from the NTSB saying all she said, but Daddy was right next to her reacting and responding, you would see how ridiculous she sounds. How ill-equipped and wrong for the position you just might see it. It happened with Karen Bass, and it really was almost spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Trump, the only one to give,
because if Trump wasn't here, she would be like the NTSB woman, just saying, we're going to put a plan of action for the LA fires and blah, 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 blah.
It's like, you got to, I don't want to be the only one to give you permits like in one day, and then I find out that the cities, the towns, and the state is not going to give you permits. And the problem with permits, it only takes one. You might need 7 different permits.
Let's see if they get into it. Is there a good part here? Yeah, I'll see if I can look for a juicier, quicker clip while I let Trump talk here.
You should just let him build. And you're only as good as the weakest one. So if you have one that's going to hold you up, but the others are going to give it to you in 24 hours, it's not going to help you very much. So they have to work on that.
Okay, check it out.
But we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it because
yes, and they can.
By the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
Instantly backtrack what I just said.
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency.
But
it's just how it goes, okay? So, it's a spiritual thing. You kind of got to see it. You kind of got to witness it in action, and then you might see it elsewhere, maybe. But that's that, I think. That's what I want to say about that. You see the connection. That's how it goes. So anyways, one final thing about this, then move on. That was like the plane stuff a little bit, but a little bit of the DI stuff. But I think we wrapped it up with a bow. There's theories. Listen to the terrible mistake that caused the DC plane crash. According to this air traffic controller, their theory. I'm going to let you find that if you really want to see what they're theorizing. I'm going to move on. Because I think we have... how do I put this? RFK Jr. Deezed. Is he on TRT? Is it test? But whether tested up or not, whether some testosterone was added to his body or not, the work ethic is still seen on the man. On the man. RFK Jr. You've seen him a little bit getting grilled by Congress, as he's going to be. Well, he's Trump's pick to lead the HHS. So they're grilling him. Bernie Sanders asking about the onesies. But do you support the onesies? Do you support the onesies? That is written somewhere in the historical archives of the hallowed halls of Congress. Do you? And so he's awesome. We love Bernie Sanders. He's great. He's just hilarious. I mean, he's in Congress. Maybe a bit of a problem. So RFK, he was apparently caught. This one's just a little silly. They caught him. Having a little Gen Z moment, a little Zoomer moment. And I don't know if it's fair to call it Zoomer, but this product is very popular with the Zoomers. And we caught him in 4K. We caught him being a total bro. We caught him RFK broing out in 4K on C-SPAN. Okay, C-SPAN is not 4K. It's like 1080p. RFK Jr. absolutely broing out. Totally broed out. He did it for the bros. Doing it for the bros. RFK Jr. packing a lip.
So I take this to the University of Washington.
Quick times.
Groundbreaking stem cell.
Back it up. Rewind. Enhance. Analyze. Confirmed. RFK Jr. in fact broing out. Actually, I can't even actually confirm that. We don't see what he put in his mouth. They're saying it's a pack of Zyn. They're saying it's a little Daily Mail saying wild moment. RFK Jr. appears. They're also being careful. Okay, and I will do as well. Alleging appears to pop Gen Z's favorite drug in the middle of his Senate confirmation hearing. And by drug, they mean nicotine. So it's legal. He's not like doing illegal stuff here. If it was that at all. But Zyn, do you even know what I'm talking about? You guys even know what I'm talking about? You ever seen these? These little tins, these little packs? They're called Zyn. Z-Y-N. Uh-oh. No, not shopping. Not shopping, Google. Stop doxing me. That's a joke. I don't use Zyn. Zyn, where are you at? Okay, Google's an unusable website. I'm sorry, I'm tripping out and totally derailing the show. Completely just derailing the show because Google is unusable. Are you telling me you're going to make this difficult, Google? Okay. Jeez. Sorry. I just had a little moment with Google there. Had to look it in the eyes. Force it to work. Behold, Zyn. Gen Z's favorite drug, little pack of, I don't even know. It's like these crystals in there. But the point is it's a nicotine delivery system. You put it in your lip, and it is the evolution. The e-cigarette, what e-cigarette is to cigarettes, Zyn is to chewing tobacco. Is that what you call it? Chewing tobacco? Those are gross. And I say gross in like the best way because like, I don't know, I like gross things. I don't know, how do I put this? You know how like, let's not talk about degeneracy like that. Let's move on. The point is, I don't pack lips, but it's got this taste. I don't know, tobacco's got a taste to it. And it's nicotine. You put it in your lip and you freaking get a buzz and you get all nicotined up. RFK Jr. broing out, maybe, allegedly appearing to bro out. What did he do it to? What was the last question that I hear? Some woman? Was it some woman just like, he's like, we're doing a double. We're doing a double Zyn. Oh, yeah. You're just saying, He's like, and this is the moment where he appears to maybe have double Zinned. Maybe even double Zinned.
So I take this to the University of Washington.
Let's turn that up. Hold up. So I take this, she says.
Response. So I take this to the University of Washington has conducted groundbreaking stem cell research on fetal tissue. To me, I know there's probably a lot of people.
Blah, 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 wow. It's like, to me, it's like, I think there might be ethical. I don't know what the rest of that clip is. And I'm totally adding to it. Who knows if he's thinking any of this or even zinning at all. Don't zin. Remember, kids, repent. Don't zin. Jesus came and he died for your sins. Okay, low hanging fruit. But 888-775-3773 if you want to call in. I had 2 callers there. Call me back, I'll get to you. Mario, but where was I? There was another moment I did want to show you, actually. Let's, before that, Bernie.
The world.
And another good moment here. Can we call this delicious, maybe even? Maybe even delicious. Bernie Sanders, he's been giving him guff about, you want to be the head of the health guy, and you're saying you're selling these onesies, you're selling these, do you support the onesies? And you're selling these onesies, they say unvaxxed and unafraid, and I'm paraphrasing and adding to it, but you're like kooky. You're a kook. Say that you don't support this because last I heard you said you do support vaccines. So do you support the vaccines or not? Do you support the onesies? And RFK's like, he's like, I support the vaccines. Like I said, I support vaccination. He's talking about just vaccination in general, it sounds like. And he's like, will you tell this organization to take it down? And he's like, I don't even work with them, man. He's like, do you support him? Now he's turning it on him. You can't do that, RFK Jr. In the hallowed halls of Congress. Don't you know they're sitting all up there? You're sitting down there. They look like higher than you, and they're talking down at you and yelling at you, and it's like they're grilling you, so it's really serious and legal, and you got to be careful what you say. RFK comes down from his cloud, and he's like, oh, you know what, Bernie Sanders, you're actually my equal. Who does he think he is? RFK's like, you know what, you're my equal. Let me ask you a question. RFK Jr. suddenly thinking, let no man be above you. I don't know where you got that from. To Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was giving him all that about the vaccines. RFK has a little thing for him. He's like, well, you care. I'm adding a little bit, but he's like, RFK, the vibe is basically, okay, you care about health and all that. Or where do your motivations lie? Is it principled? Or are we talking moolah here? Bernie Sanders, what do you have to say for yourself?
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no,
and
no,
protecting
no, no,
their interests.
No. Stop him from talking. Stop him. Stop saying words. No. Let me interrupt you. Stop saying words. You're saying words. You stop those words right now.
Oh, I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came.
You can't tie that money to PACs. You know, I got that. Politicians know how to get money. Workers from those places.
2020, in 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
From workers all...
Stop talking. Let me interrupt you. No.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
From workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate PACs.
They're pharmaceutical workers. They're pharmaceutical workers, RFK.
The largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but
ORDERSTREAM. There's the order banging the guy. You could bang a little harder than that, right, Bernie? You're trying to get him to shut up. You could make a little more noise than that.
100 million. All right, but
all right.
You have not answered. Last question.
All right, there's laughter in the background. Is that some laughter in the background?
100 million. All right, but
Bernie's a funny guy. I can understand the laughter. They might even just think he's interesting. Bernie turning as red as his politics. Whew. Bernie, let's get out of here. Why are you sweating, man? Why are you so nervous? I am not a crook. Oh, man. Oh, it's different. It's different, RFK. That's different. That's the workers. These are pharmaceutical. Sorry, I need that as a clip. I need that as a soundboard. No. Just Bernie Sanders shut him down.
From the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
2020.
So some of the quote written down. Bernie, you have accepted millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry. 2020, you were the single largest receiver of pharmaceutical dollars. That's according to RFK. Might have to do our own homework on that. That's according to RFK. Yeah. This is an old thing, really. It's really the old thing. This corruption, you know, the clip starts Bernie telling him, you gotta, will you commit to doing what every single other country does? And it's like, no. Didn't they ask Trump that the other day? There's something like, will you, no, that wasn't even Bernie, but will you commit to, and I'm paraphrasing, but will you commit to not use, what was it? Something about not using force. I forget against who. And he's like, will you at least promise not to use force? Maybe it was against the illegals, like the illegal immigrants and the deportations. Will you promise to not use force or something like that? And he's like, no, I don't. Oh, it was the tariffs, and it was Canada and Greenland and all that, and this whole talk about making Canada the 51st state, buying up Greenland. They were asking him, you know, as you're trying to acquire these, whatever you, it's clear that something about, maybe not so much Canada, I mean, it's more of a joke, but he is requiring stuff of them. They better, and it has to do with security. But they're gathering. He has some thoughts about the national security apparatus, and Greenland is involved. And they're like, okay, in your big plans, will you at least commit to not using force? And they may have even like either implied or even said invading or whatever for when at trying to enact these plans. And he's like, no, I don't promise that. And that's awesome. Imagine telling that on a world stage, hamstringing yourself to your media. It's not even to other world leaders. You hamstring your own foreign policy, unless you were playing like chess and you were like, I want them to think that. You would be a fool. You would be an absolute fool. It's like you have command of the military and you, this little reporter, you want me to promise to you to not, and to make a decision of the future, what I'm going to do with the military? That's crazy. So, RFK, what else about this? Because I do want to get to some calls. He's a bro, in my opinion. It's alleged, but he's a bro. He's a bro. He's basically a bro. Bernie, he has bros. There's many Bernie bros, but Bernie's, what, an old millionaire now? Bernie's an old millionaire. Someone said in my chat that he went from billionaire to millionaire. Is that true? What happened with Bernie? I feel like I remember something. Some sort of... I feel like somewhere in the even recent history of Bernie, there was some sort of betrayal, or at least rumors and talks of a betrayal. Maybe I'm thinking of like the 2016 or the 2020 election. He was trying to run for president, like you saw in that clip. He said, I run for president too. And he was primaried, but there's maybe some rumors about not up and up like, hey, Bernie, you're allowed to run. Like, technically, the rules say you can do what you want, but you better drop out, bro, if you know what's good for you. I'm just, these are rumors and theories, but I'm wondering if you guys remember that and if you can inform me on what I'm thinking of. Look, I want to get to William out of California. Let's see here. Oh, he's not done. Hold on. My apologies. He's not done with our call screener. In a moment here, I want to get to calls. 888-775-3773. Let's see here. But what else about RFK? That's it with RFK. You'll be fascinated. You'll be maybe interested to see how public opinion is changing on certain things. At least it seems like it. To the tune of almost 1 million followers. I want to get to William, though. William out of California. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, man?
All is well, William. All is well.
Man, I got to give you some props on something, man, that you were talking about the other day.
Oh, yeah.
The 14th Amendment. You were talking about that actually was for slaves and not for immigration and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So you agree with my take? Because I almost made a sort of claim, like it seems my opinion that like legally they're doing this legal challenge to this Letitia James is legally challenging this executive order from Trump. And I'm no lawyer, but I feel like I got it on that. I feel like her defense
You did.
destroys her own legal defense on or whatever her legal standing is on this. I'm no lawyer, but
well, I'm no lawyer either. And the thing about it is that it really was for slaves, and I think it was presented to this country. I think it was 1886 or 84 or something like that, and then the war started, and then it ended, and then it was for
68.
68. Okay, so when they were freed, they had to be made citizens,
right,
and not property, because as you know, slavery is ownership. So when they were freed, they became citizens. So now they're using this stuff with that stuff. And the blacks are always talking about how they've been getting done wrong. But they should be the first ones to speak up about that.
So, yeah, man, it's just so, when you invoke slavery like that, you have to admit that then the 14th Amendment was never meant to be used the way it is today. And if you remember that episode, it was a direct response, at least according to the historian. They say it was a direct response to this Supreme Court decision. Dred Scott, the slave who sued for his freedom, he ended up losing. And the Supreme Court said, you know what? Even if you're a free slave, you don't become a citizen. 14th Amendment was a response to that. So how can you say that means infinity immigrants, infinity people from around the world today? You have to be crazy. And if you wanted to make that argument, maybe you don't want to bring up slavery. Maybe you want to leave that. You want to fool people on that. You're going to want to lie about it.
Yeah, I think being black, that I should be the first one to speak up and say, hey, that stuff don't have nothing to do with that. This new thing that they got going with the birthright and all of that, because that has been abused, And as far as the deportation and everything, I'm pretty much thinking that they're going to go for the worst first, and then they're going to trickle it down. But I think maybe the DACA and Dreamers might leave them alone. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
Fair. No, I actually don't know. I had my thoughts and opinions, and I kind of thought I knew, but I'm going to wait and see. And we'll see what happens, who they deport.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's more than I thought. I think it's going to might be more than I was initially thinking. But go ahead.
I think a lot of people are kind of sore about Trump coming in, and I don't think he's just throwing this stuff out there nilly-willy. I think he's thinking about what he's saying and thinking about what he's doing before he does it. And you see the results. They're swiftly sweeping people up and everything. And the people that they're getting obviously do not have a case because they're in handcuffs.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too to me how Letitia James and probably anybody reading that probably wouldn't have, they just couldn't hold back. You know that the second they wrote that down, whoever said it, like, the 14th Amendment was born in the ashes of slavery. You know that everyone was like, oh, yeah, perfect. That's perfect. It's like, that was the poison, that is the poison drop, though, the poison kiss.
Yep.
You're so into slavery, it's like you can't even see one step ahead.
You're so into slavery, but you don't speak up for it correctly. That's what I noticed about my people. They don't even think about that 14th Amendment. They sit there and say, wait, you need to leave these people alone and let them stay and everything. But, they're directly affecting your neighborhoods.
100%.
And this thing with the these countries that these people are coming from, there's money at the end of this tunnel, because some of these elected officials, they're lobbying for these people too hard for me to think that there's not some money at the end of the tunnel, because they got checkpoints all the way from these countries going all the way through Central America to northern Mexico. Checkpoints. So a lot of people. There's a lot of palms being rubbed, and then once they get here, the politicians in the liberal cities, palms are getting rubbed.
Yes, sir. They're called NGOs. Your instinct is absolutely correct.
You think that
NGOs? They're called. No, of course. Your instinct. Look, even as someone with my level of knowledge, which is not much, knows that NGOs, Catholic Immigration Services, and all these people, they literally get money to
do these things.
to relocate, feed, house illegal and legal, whatever, migrants. They just call them migrants. They don't even ask in a lot of cases. It's like, okay,
and you just
I'm need
Catholic.
help.
I'm Catholic, and I've been knowing this for a long time that they do that. That's why, I'm careful about who I donate to, because it's been a known fact that some of these facilities will, they'll hide these people there, and I don't agree with that. It's like, you need to let that go. I don't think it's going to stop him. He's going to still come get him, come after him,
And I think the general public, I'm getting the feelers. I'm watching the social medias, people even I know, and I'm getting this impression that the people don't care. Like, really, they got the Mexicans. You've seen those protests maybe in LA, but I gotta say, a lot of people seemingly don't care. They're just, maybe they'll say, "Oh, it's pretty mean," but then they'll turn around. It's like, okay, nice, just let them deport him and let me move on.
Why, like I just said, I'm Catholic, right? But I mean, I'm not a group follower. I don't follow things. I just be the individual that I am, and I'll make my judgment as I go along. I'll do what I do as I go. But being Catholic, praying my God or whatever. I mean, I leave that separate from that group following thing. That's that group thing. That's that BLM. That's that Hebrew Israelite thing. That's that. You could be a Christian without being in a group. You can be anything without being in a group.
Well said, William. And it's really...
And there's a lot of, Catholic organizations, they grouping. I do mine, but it's not in a group.
And the disguise is loving. The disguise is, it's a church, it's a charity,
Right.
but it's not even a good one. You just got to peel it back a little bit, and you realize that not even the intentions are good. Even the person.
How about thinking for yourself and saying to yourself, because a lot of, like Letitia James, like you said, a lot of these people are standing up for this stuff and they know it's not right. But you know why they're doing it. There's money at the end of the tunnel, and there's a group. You always think about this stuff. There's always a group, a gathering of a lot of people in a group setting doing these things. And you just have to be smart enough to make your own decisions and.
Yeah, just don't listen to the liars who want you mad. They want you angry.
Right.
They want you controlled. They want you looking at somebody other than you.
Catholic, just because I'm Catholic, you think I know that? You think I'm going to say that everybody's Catholic is good? I'm not going to do that.
Man, right on, William. I appreciate your commentary on that. Anything else you want to say on this before we move the wheels?
No, just enjoy your weekend and listen to some good drummers and bass players.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Dennis Chambers.
You said Dennis Chambers?
Yeah. Him and Steve Aroni.
Definitely Steve. But I used to have the drummer from Tool on a social media, like it's called PSN. We play PlayStation together.
Yeah, Danny Carey, right?
Yeah, Danny. Yeah, he years ago he put out publicly his PSN and was playing with just random people on PlayStation.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
He's amazing, isn't
he? Yeah. Right on. I'll check it out. Thanks for putting me on, William, and call me again.
All right, take care.
888-775-3773. Yes, Selena. Do it for Selena's. And I'm just talking about Selena because I'm talking about that public opinion I was just mentioning. 800K? Selena Gomez loses almost $1 million. 800,000, 200,000 short, but Selena Gomez loses 800,000 Instagram followers amid back. Isn't that significant? Like people say stuff and they'll lose thousands, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000. Like I feel like I've seen that even recently. 800,000 Instagram followers amid backlash for her emotional deportation video, putting her position as most followed woman on the platform in jeopardy. Who will take her place? Most followed. She's the most followed woman on Instagram. Selena Gomez. They didn't like that, is what I mean. The followers of Mexican Selena Gomez, and she's a woman. You can imagine the followers she has. And I'm sure diverse, but come on. They support her. And she's out there saying in some video where she's like, they're hurting my people. You can see how, like, her followers should, theoretically, by my calculations, their fans should just be like, right on, Selena. 800,000, she's bleeding. She's bleeding, officer. She's absolutely bleeding, officer. And I'm seeing these commentaries and stuff. They did not like that. They're like, your people. I'm like, whoa, when did everybody become racist? I was like, just a couple of years ago, I feel like only a couple of us were racist. But now suddenly America's racist again. And you know what? That makes me think there might be a chance. There might be a chance. And I'm just joking. There's no such thing as racism. It's just that there's people who are willing to say the obvious thing without fear of being called racist. Or, or they're following a crowd trend. But the trend is kind of awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, America. You're my people, they're saying. They're saying, my people. I thought America was your people. It's like, whoa. So, Selena's 800K, they're hemorrhaging over there. Just hemorrhaging. I wanted to show you, how do I do this? Because this is thousands of years of history. You don't understand. This is thousands of years of history. How am I going to explain this in a mere 15 minutes? I don't even get it. Tomer tried talking about it on the JLP show earlier. He called in because, the JLP named Tomer. He said he wanted to talk to him about the red heifers. them red cows in Israel. And I didn't get really the info. And Tomer said he didn't quite know. He tried talking to some old Orthodox people, and they tried telling him and the third temple and stuff. And it's like, okay, that's pretty much what I knew about it, like what I heard about it. These red cows, they're supposed to be unblemished. You sacrifice them, you use their ashes, you make a water out of them, you could purify yourself. It's got properties, okay? And you're building now you're building the third temple, and now the world is ending. Now it's the end times. I've heard some of these things. I felt like I wasn't informed, and I bet you were going to remain uninformed, but maybe we can at least try with the help of technology. What the heck? There's these red heifers. They got red cows over there. And it's like supposed to be a really deep prophecy. Tell me, for any old heads in the chat, can you tell me, is this not a first time? That's my first question. Is this one of those, this is not the first time they've done this situations where, yeah, oh, another red heifer? Oh my God. Oh, I've heard that one before. So for the old heads in the chat, if that is so, let me know if this is like one of those, old story. Oh, another red heifer. Or is this like, whoa, a 2,000-year-old prophecy is being realized? Tomer on the JLP show said an interesting thing. And that's another thing we're going to see if we can find out. Did he really say that they are trying to essentially, in less colorful words than I'm saying, engineer the red heifers in America? Like farm them or something? You know what I'm saying? It's just something I heard from Tomer on the GLP show. But yes, there's apparently been, we're going to get a source on that. We're going to get a source on that. I'll get you a source on this. I'm as uninformed as you. So, but yes, apparently there have been efforts to breed or farm red heifers in America. But it's like, I don't know the theory. I don't know this prophecy. But let's say there's a prophecy passed down thousands of years and says, one day there will be a red heifer. Are you cheating? Are you breaking the rules a little bit? Are you like trying to go around the prophecy by like engineering the red heifer? Here's another angle. Because it may not just, because take this in. This can still be pro-prophecy. Here's another angle. Due to the prophecy, how do I put this? Someone engineering the red heifer can still fit the prophecy, because it's like, it's not cheating. It's like one way or the other, this red heifer will come about, and you, the reader of this prophecy, won't know how. Maybe this is how it was always meant to be. One day man will use magic. They didn't know it was just genetic engineering or something back then. But 2,000 years later, there will be a red heifer. Maybe that's part of the prophecy, that they'll be engineered in the U.S. in a lab. I'm just playing devil's avocado with the prophecy of the red heifer. Exploring all angles. So they got these cows, the red heifer, a significant part of Jewish eschatology. There's a $10 word for you. Temple-related rituals that are described. This concept comes from Numbers 19. Where my Old Testament heads at? Numbers 19. Numbers 19, King James Version. And so in Numbers 19, this is all described, where God commands the Israelites to sacrifice a completely red and unblemished heifer and use its ashes as purification rites. You know what AI says about that? That it's in fact quite rare, because apparently the stipulation of a red heifer is to have nothing but red hairs, which apparently is pretty rare. I don't know. But they say it's rare. But it's got to have, like, not a mixture of hairs where it's like a bunch of red, and it's like, oh, when you look closely, though, it's like, oh, that's a white hair. That's like a reddish hair. Oh, you see it's like a mixture. So that's part of it. Why are they important? The temple purification. which is the ashes of a red heifer mixed with water, were used to ritually purify people who had come into contact with the dead, which was a requirement for temple service. And I'm getting this from J-Post, just so you know, J-Post, so we source correctly here as we wade in the unknown. J-Post, we're getting this from the J-Post, from templeinstitute.org. We're getting educated here. Maybe we need a rabbi. Maybe we need an Orthodox. And you mean you guys just like tell your prophecies? You guys just don't keep a secret? You just tell the whole world your prophecies? Maybe we don't know. So whatever. The red heifer, what else about this? Then the other part of this. The messianic prophecy. Some religious groups within Orthodox Judaism, different parts, they all kind of think different things. Like the Christians. There's some Christians, it's called millennialism. The 1,000 years of Jesus, it says somewhere in Revelations. Some are premillennialists. They believe Jesus will come before the 1,000 years that are prophesied. And he will come here to enact an order and a peace for 1,000 years. Some are post-millennialists, that Jesus will come after the 1,000 years. And some, it's just like a metaphor, man. It's like religion, man. Holy. How silly can man be with information and words and books? Messianic prophecy, though, some believe in Orthodox Judaism and certain Christian circles, by the way, according to Bill Lockwood, believe that the arrival of a perfect red heifer is a sign that the third temple can be rebuilt in Jerusalem, which they see a step toward the Messianic era. And they, you saw that video on the JLP show, the lady saying, oh, after 2,000 years, a red heifer in Shiloh, it's amazing. It's like, what does it mean? Oh, it's just a prophecy. It's great. Trust me. But what does it mean? It's great. Trust me, it's great. Like, okay, you tell me a little bit more. It's the coming of the Messianic era. Oh, sounds great. And if you only ask one more question, what does the Messianic era mean? It's like, oh, the end times, when, the end of the world. So they're saying it's the prophetic. Is this true? Worldwide attention? I must be in a bubble. Maybe they're going nuts over there on that side of the world. I hear this matters to the Muslims too, or at least certain Muslims, because this is what I hear. That even if they don't necessarily believe some kind of prophecy, the Jews believe it, and that might be a big, it might be bad times for the Muslims. Some say, it's like if they're really going to have a red heifer, I heard it means that the Al-Aqsa Mosque must come down or something like that. So it means conflict. It doesn't seem like a nice thing. It seems like conflict. So even if you don't believe it, it's like, well, but these guys believe it. And I think if I'm reading this correctly, I think it means conflict. But I'll let you. I really don't know. I was trying to kind of find out. They were talking about it on the JLP show. And we never really got info. I thought it was interesting. Rarity, a truly kosher red heifer must be completely red without more than a few. Oh, it allows for a few non-red hairs and must not have been used for labor. Finding such an animal is extremely rare, adding to the mystique and significance. So we'll see, I guess, if the world ends. What's next? What are the next steps after the red heifer? So now that the red heifer has appeared, what's next? What's next? Now that the red heifers have to reach maturity around 2024 and 2025. Oh, that actually fits this article I was reading because these cows were born 2022. In September 2022, as it reads here, the arrival of 5 red heifers in Israel caught the world's attention. Now, more than 2 years later, the cows are being cared for in ancient Shiloh. Shiloh, like that lady said? And if I'm reading the next steps, step 2 of the prophecy here, the next step is, they have to reach maturity, so they're already a few steps ahead, maybe. It's 2024, 2025. So now they got to prepare for the ritual of the red heifer. If the qualified red heifer isn't identified, it would be sacrificed outside the Temple Mount, possibly on the Mount of Olives. Its ashes would be mixed with the water for purification. Okay, I get the purification, but what's this about the third temple? So there's just people? People are just going to get together and start building a building? Man. Call me ignorant, but people be dumb. It seems like it to me. Call me ignorant for taking a crud on thousands of years of, but it's thousands of years of history. But people seem silly, man. Brian, I got you on the air. I need somebody to talk to. How you doing, sir? Nice to hear from you. Brian out of Mississippi or Michigan?
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
How you doing, Brian? Nice to hear from you. You're on the air.
I'm doing well, thank you. I just called in to make some comments on what you're talking about. First, the Selena Gomez debacle.
Yes, please.
It's just, Hake said it best. I think it was yesterday. It's just a bunch of re-rees.
Like Rihanna?
To not say the...
Okay, I think I'm cluing in.
You know,
like when you play slowly in music, like when you're reading a sheet music and it says retardando, meaning to play slowly.
Got it.
I got you.
You got it. People get so attached to, I guess, these superstars, if you want to call them that, but they're no different than you and me. It's just what the people put value on them. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. To put another person above you. It's an interesting thing. We do it a lot.
It's Riri.
It really is. And it's interesting to even think about it. I never even thought about that, right? But like since working on myself, paying attention to things, it's like you realize you don't even think, nobody tells you this, that you should never put someone above you. Because we do that all the time. Right. We order ourselves these hierarchies. Yeah, what do you think about this? This is a fascinating topic.
Yep. I kind of came to the conclusion probably 8 years ago. Well, it's been longer than that. Movies that they would put out, it was just the same type of the plot and all that, and the special effects got to be just way too much. How they got people flying through the air and hovering. I know they want you to get into your imagination. And I never really got into that. Never put any high standards on any sports person. I just think it's Riri, the money that they make to do what they do. When your average person, they get up early and they go to work and they work hard, a long day. You deal with all the other Riris around you. And what do you make? You can barely make ends meet. Wow. What makes them so special?
It's crazy. You're saying you never, I wanted to ask you, I was hearing you talk. Did you ever get into like a music subculture?
Yeah, I got into that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So-called heavy metal.
Okay, so you're metalhead. Nice. Heavy metal.
Right.
That's cool. And you're just making me think of that. That's just a funny thing I'm sure many can relate to. But I was thinking about that just the other day. I was looking at some like these kids, they get all black, gothy and emo and stuff like that. I remember going to those festivals. Your wife was like that?
No. She was just commenting to me. I think it was today. Maybe it was yesterday. Either way, she was going into the most famous big box store where you can buy everything. And she said 3 teenagers come walking out. And she said she never really thought about it before, but for some reason she just kind of was attracted to their look. All the piercings and the different colored hair, and like they didn't have a care in the world. She said they were between maybe 17, 19. I don't know, I wasn't there, but she just thought, wow, look at what they're doing to our kids. This is what they think is important. And then that goes along with the Gomez stuff. Cares how many followers she had. Do people even realize, now I can't remember what it was called, but before Facebook became popular and so-called Marky supposedly came up with the Facebook idea, there was a government, what do you want to call it? The government was collecting information on everyone, just like they do on Facebook. But somehow they were starting to get it exposed, or maybe they felt this was the time to come out where people would accept putting all their personal information online for that, as Jesse would say, a thrill. And I always try to tell, my daughter is not so much big into it now, but when she was younger, she was. And I used to tell her, anybody can put whatever they want on the internet and make you think their life is so much greater than yours. You don't know. Do you think everybody's perfect? No, they're not. They got problems just like everybody else. They just want to put off this persona that their life is so great.
No, fair enough. Yeah, and Selena Gomez, all the followers, and to add to what you were saying, just to add to what you're saying, it's like people following. And I'm thinking about the subcultures and getting into music like that, because she did music too, and it's just a silly thing. It's you're describing what I was talking about. This people it's a common pattern, and everyone thinks they think for themselves. But how can you think that when you go to one of these festivals? You're like, we're all individuals, and you're actually looking across, and you're like, wow. They all think the same. They all look the same. And they're out here thinking they're individuals. But it's an amazing thing, man.
Even if Pink Floyd got back together and I had somebody gave me free tickets to go see them, I wouldn't go.
What? You wouldn't go to that?
Nah.
Were you into Pink Floyd?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if
I actually agreed. You know what? That's actually not a bad thing. Wasn't there a recent rock band that got together? Not rock, but recent. They're a little older now, and they got together and they did something. But I gotta say, shout out to they've been doing it for all, but it didn't look too good in their older age. I forget who it was. It was recent, and so you might be onto something there. Maybe it's better to leave Pink Floyd as champions in your mind.
I guess if I wanted to see Pink Floyd in concert and you wanted to see them when so-called they were at their high time, just go on YouTube and go type in a Peter or a Pink Floyd live concert. And you'd have plenty to choose from. You can sit in your own house. You don't have all the people around you. And you can watch it and enjoy it when they were at their high.
Right. Yeah, and keep the good image. Not right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, right on, Brian. Well, it makes a lot of sense. Really does add to what we were talking about here. Anything else you want to say on this?
No, I just wanted to talk about your red heifer thing.
Oh, please. Go ahead.
Nothing that I know. All I can tell you, my dad used to tell me, my dad would get on a Bible thumping kick every now and then when I was a kid. And we just have discussions about the Bible. And he used to tell me, when you see that temple being rebuilt, you better start worrying, because that's when Christ is going to come back. But now, none of that really ever made any sense, because I had read parts of the Bible. I wasn't a Bible thumper. I when I was listening to the heavy metal music, not saying I was rebellious to my parents, but yeah, of course I did things that they never knew about and that I didn't ever get caught. I think we all go through that. But just the Christ returning, it never made sense to me, because why
it didn't make sense too is the worry. I want you to finish, but yeah, your dad told you to worry.
Oh yeah, the worries. That's what I was going to get at. That's how Satan gets everyone to do just like JLP tells everybody, we're all evil. And I guess if you want to act on it, well, these people, they think they're interpreting the words of God wrong. So I've heard before.
Yeah, but that's exactly how evil operates.
All of these things that supposedly have happened, this is a sign, and then this or that. It's a lie to get people to, you're not believing in God. And when I think about what it says in the Bible when Christ returns, every knee will bow and every eye will see and every tongue will confess. Or maybe it's like every eye will see from the west to the east. Every tongue will confess that Christ is Lord. Well, I think there's a lie thrown in there because it's God that's Lord. Christ is just the Son. So they twist it there, and then they're trying to force, they think, and I don't even, like I said, I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me that Christ would have to return again, take some people, but leave some here.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing that growing up.
And then return again to judge all.
That's what confused me. It was like this, almost
Right.
like,
Well,
where did you get all these steps from? How'd you know he's going to go and come back? And
I always thought, wow, if I go to heaven, what? I'm going to go to heaven like for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back to earth, and I'll be judged, and then I'll go back to heaven. I was like, what a mess.
That always confused me too, and so I just never really gave it much thought.
Yeah,
It seems, and also this, you better be worried. They start building a third temple. I'm like, wait, that doesn't even sound. That stopped sounding Christian all of a sudden.
I think my old man told me that supposedly the temple was supposed to be rebuilt in like.
That's the theory. That's the prophecy. The red heifer appears. It's within 7 days. You're telling me the world's ending. It might be ending within 7 days.
No, they're going to rebuild the temple in 7 days.
Which kicks off the end of the world, according to the prophecy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, then the Antichrist is supposed to come, and everybody's he's just the greatest thing, but it's just a facade. And
people have been saying that for a long time, huh?
Yeah, Antichrist is supposed to then.
How about this? Wait and see attitude with all things.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Brian, anything else you want to say about this? I got to move the wheels, sir.
No, that's it. Thanks for giving me a shout or letting me shout out at you.
No problem. Call me again.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You
all
too.
Right, bye.
Man, 𝒂𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 with the super chat says, you what's dumber. You know what's dumb? I bet you're saying, you know what's dumber than people always thinking it's the end times? The people who don't think so and keep saying it over and over and over. The people who don't think it's the end times, you're saying, right? That's what you're saying? The people who don't think so and keep saying it over and over and over. Are you talking about me? Kale, you talking about me, bro? You want to take this outside? I don't know if I say it over and over. I'm just a skeptic. Call me a skeptic, Kale. Where's your scale at, Kale? Where's Kale's scale at these days? Let me know in the chat. How many minutes? I don't know if you don't even use this metric, Kale. I haven't used the minutes to midnight doomsday clock, but what's your scale at? You know, on world conflict. What a mess. We'll see what that red heifer's got to say. We're going to move on from that. You know what? Well, let's do this in the last few minutes. What do I leave you with? Shall we just play this clip? Let's just do this clip. Ireland. This is out of Ireland. What else? Yeah. Let's just do this. Controversial. Woman going around with her story. She's from Dublin. And Elon Musk has reposted this, given that little Elon attention. You know, every now and again, he'll put out, there'll be some commentary, some tweet, some video that he'll just give a little attention to just by simply reposting it and just writing something like wow or very little. Just really the point is just to give it attention. And of course, when you repost something to your millions of followers, Elon Musk, the owner of all, you're going to get a lot of eyes on something. So he decided to bring attention to this one post to his 215 million followers. And it's a video. It's a video posted by some individual. I don't know who he is. And it's of a woman. The video's of this woman describing the situation her daughter is in and what she's experiencing. And I wanted to pull this up for you. Hold on. Because, like I said, she's causing a stink, being controversial with what she's saying in this video. She's quoted as saying, "My child is one of the 30 children in her class, and she's the only Irish child." You can imagine some of the responses like, what? What's wrong with that? What are you getting at? What do you mean by that? Now, what do you mean, though?
I'm from Dublin, but I come to Mayo every weekend. But I wanted to talk about what the situation is like where I live, because you have not seen what is coming yet, and I have. Where I live is about 85% foreign nationals. I can walk down the street on any given day, walk into the supermarket, and I don't hear an Irish conversation. I hear foreign people everywhere. My child is one of 30 children in her class, and she's the only Irish child. She came home crying.
1 out of 30?
From school a few weeks ago because she doesn't understand what any of her friends are saying. The children revert back to their own languages when they're not being taught. She literally cannot understand the conversations around her.
That doesn't make sense. That is so wrong. She's in there. One, if this is true, I don't have any reason not to believe it, but 1 out of 30, you can imagine that already. It's like, okay, class, do your homework. And it's like, it's just different languages. She's suddenly in a foreign country, can't make friends. Maybe she's making friends. But Nick, that's how the immigrants feel in America. I want to respond to that voice in my head in a moment.
When Halloween came around there a few months ago, last year she was allowed to dress up. Sorry, the year before last she was allowed to dress up. This year she wasn't allowed to dress up. And when I asked the school why, they said they didn't want to offend people. But I don't go for a walk around the park during the day with my child anymore. I have a big dog and I don't go for a walk by myself anymore. I very rarely leave my house because where I live is so unsafe. And that is the reality.
But are you really unsafe because of immigrants? Like, what's the real story? Don't worry, apparition. Don't worry, a voice in my head, which the doctor said not to talk to. I'll respond to you in a moment.
That you're facing if you don't make a stand. And I understand it's really, really hard to, be called names and all of these things. But you have to stand up on behalf of your children and the future of the country. The country is going to... The landscape of this country is changing completely. And if you're okay with that, fine. But I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that for my child. Please, please put your children first and your country first. And just don't care what anyone else thinks.
Put your country first. So, you saw the video. With the music. Pardon. I'm not crying because of this video. No. These tears are not for this video. Do not be mistaken. So sad. I yawned. But I didn't yawn because of her either. We were watching the same video though. A lot of people are not happy actually. It was like controversial. In the comments, it looks like even like conservative people, they're like, but what do you mean? 1 out of 30, like, wasn't that necessarily bad? And I think it's quite bad. I think it's pretty wrong. Doesn't quite make sense. You'd say, and I saw some of this commentary, but that's how immigrants feel when they come to these countries. So, you know, it's like, now you got to, like, deal with that. It's only fair. And I'm thinking about just this whole fairness on that, how evil one must be to think something like that. And you see this with people when it comes to these racial grievance stuff, and we talk about, hey, isn't it over? Can we move on? There are people who openly, they'll call our shows, and they'll say that they'll be fine if, you know, if what was done to them was done to the whites later, slavery. One day they'll rule, they'll say, some of them. And you white people will have to, whatever. And and you have to be an evil, like, angry person to wish that on someone. Let's say you went through a hard thing and it was difficult. You have to be angry. You didn't overcome the situation. You didn't grow better. You got bitter. And now you just want to put out hate. And that's how people operate. It's really that simple. And of course, like, needs and desires, like selfishness, what people are motivated by. So you see, like, anyone thinking like that is quite evil to inflict that on the hosts. But on top of that too, like, what else about that? I wanted to say, 30 children. Yeah, it just doesn't, it's just not, doesn't it also, like, that her daughter is experiencing what she just said. And you know, we just went through the thought experiment of an immigrant thinking, well, you know what, it's fine because I went through it. Don't you see? There probably are a bunch of them that went through it, that went through exactly what she's talking about, what her child is talking about, but they were immigrants that couldn't understand English or whatever. What I'm getting at is, they say this, that there's moral mothers and fathers, and I think it's mothers. A lot of single men cross the border, but the children cross with either alone or with women, their mothers, and they're coming here to give them a better life. And we're doing it for you. We're bringing you over. I'm talking about the children of these illegals and even immigrants, just straight up immigrants, like legal even. And if this is how people are growing up, with this chip on their shoulder, or at least even thinking like, you know, I went through something tough, I overcame, I forgave them, I'm not mad at the people I couldn't speak their language when I was growing up, I understand, I was an immigrant. There's probably some of those. And they're probably doing well. Let me say that right now. Their lives are probably just fine. They forgave. They're like, no, I'm not going to get mad at America because I couldn't speak English and they bullied me. Even, let's say it wasn't even bullying. So there's probably even some of those. But for a moment here, don't you take in that wherever you end up on with that topic, this assumption that it's like good people, they're just good people, just want to give a better life to their children, but they're willing to put them through that? How do I put this? The assumption is just kind of dead on its face. I don't want to just say totally evil. It's like, well, let me back up. It's like your heart is evil, you're totally evil. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to make it sound like putting your kids through a little hardship is abuse. It's like, no, pain and what you got to go through is fine. But the assumption is that they're just here. We're just going to give them a better life. But you're like willingly putting them through that. You see what I'm saying? Where they didn't have to. All because of what? All because of what? Because you thought that giving your children a better life amounts to money. It amounts to economic gain. And it's not worthless. It's integral to our lives here on this earth or whatever, this planet. As if I have any experience of any other dimension, but it speaks to, it's an integral part, this money making and whatever, finance, wealth, building something. But that's what it amounts to. You got to see that even the intentions aren't good. It's just either misunderstanding or really just, you don't know what love is. You really don't know what love is. It says in the Bible, you can have everything, but you don't have love, you don't have anything. And that's probably what's going on with these immigrant children and children across America, even if not immigrant. But these immigrant children, it's like your parents thought the most important thing was money. And so you can get all the money in the world. You could cross all the borders and go through all the hardships and then get the degree. And my kid is the first engineer in America. But if you don't have love, you don't have anything. If you don't have love, you got nothing. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to comment on. It's this assumption of good intentions. It's not even that.
The reality that...
Whoa. Now, what else was I saying about this? It's not even... yeah. I think that's it on that. So that's the story on that. What was I just saying? It's not even good intentions. Oh yeah, that they would put them through that, right? It's like, oh, you're gonna go through this hard thing, but they're like miserable in school. They can't even speak English. Like that girl, like the young Irish girl who couldn't speak the languages of all these diversity around her. It's just that with her, in this case, Ireland was at least at one time meant for the Irish, so it's a little bit different. You know, it's a little bit different. It's almost criminal. You wouldn't. You know, that daughter has to be in a classroom and she's the only white girl, can't speak their languages, left out, and has to just grow up in that world. It's like, what happened? So anyways, what can I say, folks? Did we just do it? We did the calls, the super chats, the topics. That's the show. Hey, thank you, Gawains. Appreciate the super chat. Says, I wish all a ridiculous faith and confidence. Well, thanks, Gawain's Realm. Appreciate the support. 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 earlier said, if I hasn't been an unblemished red heifer in 2,000 years. It's 2,000 years of history. Don't you know it's 2,000 years of history? And there hasn't been a red heifer according to 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎. We're going to see what they come up with. Will the world end? Stay tuned on the next episode of I'm Out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. Hope you enjoyed today's show. This week flew by, but I enjoyed doing my shows here. I'll be back Monday for more American Anchor Baby. And of course, church on Sunday. You don't want to miss it. We get down. It's not your regular church. It ain't your grandmama's church. It's serious. We're passing the mic. Don't miss it. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. You don't have to be in the building there. But you know what else? I'm not leaving until I tell you about Punchy's Coffee. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere until you hear about this amazing coffee, which still smells fresh and amazing. It's like, we're like here. We're here at Bond. We're doing videos. Jesse Lee Peterson is an absolute legend. We're doing our best, putting out videos, and we're like learning our best here, like going from all sorts of different origins. A cook. It's like learning on the go, all because we want to just keep this message going. It's a simple motivation. And we run with you guys. That's all I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. You guys watch, enjoy, and we put it out free. This is Jesse's style. It's been for 30. Putting it out free, and it's like this message is for anybody. The counseling is affordable. You'll never have counseling that cheap and that effective. And we're just like, with this message, it does require money. It does require like equipment to keep it going and all that. Jesse's message of simple message of forgiveness that has helped so many. And like, we're putting our heads together, and it's like, people drink coffee, right? It honestly was going to just be like, let's just find out. Like, let's just do our best. It's just like, it's going to be coffee that is at least good. I'm telling Omid, I'm like, Omid, it's got to be like good coffee, right? It's got to be at least good. It ended up being specialty grade. We're like learning about this, and I'm hamming it up a bit. I'm excited, okay? Forgive me. We worked on this, and it's like specialty grade beans, man. This is a science to it. They grade the beans, specialty grade. Look it up. Maybe you don't know. No, maybe you don't have to take my word for it. I invite you to try a little bit of this coffee, and you tell me what you think. For real. Let me know. radio@jesseleepeterson.com. Tell me your honest opinion about it. I'm excited for you to try it, though. rebuildingtheman.com/store. Punchy's Coffee, ground or whole, roasted to order, specialty grade. And it's like we're family drinking coffee and you're supporting Bond. Isn't that cool? We came up with that. Bond production from the ground up. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. That's it from me, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'll see you Sunday and Monday. Take care. Wishing you well, as always. Bye-bye. Oh, little Nick, too. He's got to say bye. Bye.